If you want to level up your acting career, what better way to do it than by learning from the best of the best and applying their top 10 habits into your own personal routine. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Yasmin, a multicultural actress based in the Netherlands, and I am here to help you grow on your acting journey, take it to the next level, while sharing bits and pieces of my own journey along the way. Let's get into it. So habit number 1 is taken from Meryl Streep, who reads a play every single night before she goes to bed. She has said that this habit helps her stay connected to her craft and stay connected to the characters that she portrays. I think this is a great way to get inspiration, to keep yourself in the acting mindset and groove and feeling. Personally, I used to read a lot of plays back when I was in high school and I was studying theater. It's just great to help you feel inspired, discover new characters and storylines that you may not be familiar with, and also it's just fun and entertaining. Habit number 2 comes from Leonardo DiCaprio, which is studying his own work. I think a lot of actors do this, not just him, but there is so much value in filming yourself, studying it, seeing what you did and how it affected your performance. A lot of the times we're performing and we feel that it looks or is perceived a certain way. If there is something that I have been told and has been drilled into my mind by one of my acting teachers was that you cannot trust how you feel about your performance. Do not trust what you feel, how it went to how it actually went. You yourself, while you're performing and while you're acting, you are not an impartial judge to what actually went down. I would suggest filming it or having someone there to film it and be objective and there to give you constructive feedback. I would also recommend maybe trying different techniques or approaching the scene a few different ways, filming it each time and then comparing side by side. Even small things such as eye level can have such a big difference in how you appear, for example, in an audition. So although it may feel a little bit cringy sometimes to watch yourself back, it is a really great way to learn. Number 3 is from Natalie Portman, which is journaling and taking notes. So Natalie Portman keeps a journal of every role she has done and she writes down her thoughts throughout the process, how she connects with her character, thus keeping herself really engaged in the process. I remember when I first started acting when I was in high school and I did theater, one of the first things my teacher said to us was to keep a notebook and throughout class jot down any notes, especially when he was giving us feedback. And it's just so valuable to me to have that now and be able to look back 10 years ago at the things I've learned, how I've evolved, but also to keep this up when I'm working on different projects. For example, I worked for 6 months on a theater project, writing down how I felt throughout the process and seeing how everything got built up is just really nice. And also now that I have to go back into that role again after almost a year of not performing it, it's interesting to see how I felt back then and how I approached it back then and kind of see how I'm approaching it now through a different lens. But you could also take this a step further and also journal in character. Like, how is your character feeling right now? What is it that they want? Like, what is sitting heavy on their chest? These are just really great ways to explore your character more deeply in order to become even more connected. So habit number 4 comes from Zendaya, and that is listening to your character's playlist. This is something that I personally love to do. First off, it's so much fun to curate a playlist based off of what you think your character likes and enjoys listening to, but it really helps you to get really into the groove, into the energy, and really embody a person. Listening to music is just such a great way to connect with your character, and especially if it's a character you're playing for a longer period of time, whether you're doing theater and you have multiple shows, or you're doing a longer project with multiple filming days, then you can always start out by listening to that playlist and just get getting into the zone, getting into the rhythm and groove of things. So if you've never done this before, I would highly recommend doing it. Number 5 comes from Cate Blanchett, and that is warming up your body. Now, I had an acting teacher that swore by this. Every single class started out with this one yoga pose that we had to do. I think it was called like flamingo or something. And that just helped us focus, get into the concentration, warm up our body from the inside so that we're ready to roll, to move, because, you know, actors, we need to use our whole body. And if we go back to the previous habit of watching yourself back, sometimes you notice that you're actually quite stiff and you're unaware of what your body is doing. But so just being connected, being in the rhythm, warming up is always a good idea. And Cate Blanchett says that she swears by light physical warm-ups before performing. Stretching or yoga poses help release tension and improve energy. She says you don't need anything fancy. A few minutes of movements can make a huge difference before a rehearsal or audition. Habit number 6 is to stay in shape. And when I researched for this video, ChatGPT told me it came from Chris Hemsworth, but a lot of actors put a lot of time and energy into their physical well-being. I think this one kind of speaks for itself. Our body is our instrument, is what we use. So taking care of our body, making sure we nourish ourselves, making sure we sleep enough, and making sure we exercise can really help your longevity in the long run, your energy levels, everything that kind of surrounds that. Physical exercise just has so many benefits, and I can go on and on, but I'm sure you already know all these things. So we're just gonna move on to the next one. So moving on to habit number 7, which is visualize your performance. And this comes from The Rock. He likes to close his eyes, imagine the steps that he needs to take before he goes on stage, before he needs to perform. He says that this gives him peace of mind, gives him clarity, and really helps him get into the motion of his character. This is really beneficial when you have to do something that is long. For example, you're doing theater and you're going to be on stage for like 40 minutes. Having those key moments in the performance and just being to close your eyes, watch it in like sped up form in your head, and just go through the key points of their performance just to see, you know, exactly what you're going to do, get that focus and really get into the zone. And not only that, it's also great to just give yourself a boost of confidence. Visualize yourself doing this. Maybe also give some affirmations to yourself, talk yourself up, give yourself a little pep talk to just clear any jitters, any nerves. I don't think there's anyone out there, even if they've performed thousands of times, that doesn't get nervous before performing, especially if you're performing live in front of other people. But I think this is a great tip. And if you have your own tip on how you kind of clear the nerves before you perform, please leave them in the comments down below. I would love to see your suggestions. Habit number 8 is to do vocal warm-ups. This one is also pretty basic, especially if you have formal acting education. This is something we do all the time in acting school, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Your voice is your tool. It's what you use. You need to speak, you need to enunciate, and warming up your voice is just gonna make that so much easier. In acting school, we learn to do tongue twisters and all these sorts of other warm-ups, but if you go on YouTube and you look it up, then you'll find plenty of great examples. And if you want to take it a step further, you can even work with a vocal coach. When I was going through acting school, we also worked with a vocal coach, and even though I had 6 years of vocal training prior to sing, I learned a lot, especially when it came to linguistics and how you even create sounds with your mouth and all these different things. It was just very beneficial to me, so I would also highly recommend doing that. We are almost at the end of the video. Let's keep on going to habit number 9, and that is to set small achievable goals. And this habit comes from Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy sets small manageable goals every day, whether it's memorizing a scene or reaching a physical milestone. Breaking big tasks into smaller steps helps him stay focused. Then the recommendation is to try setting small daily goals that are easily achievable. That way you rewire your brain to the feeling of success and to the feeling of achieving things. And if you want to take it a step further, I would suggest to close your eyes whenever you achieve something. Maybe pick a song, but to really close your eyes and be present in the moment. Take note of how you feel, how the success feels, and that way you kind of trick your brain into wanting to achieve that feeling again. And then it's kind of a subliminal way where your other actions and other habits get affected by this to want to achieve that again. And now onto our last habit. Habit number 10 comes from Viola Davis, one of my biggest inspirations. I think she is just so fantastic. And her habit is to seek feedback. And maybe you already do this, but I used to not do this at all. I would say that my mistake sometimes was that I was overconfident in my abilities or in my performance. And so I just never really sought out feedback if it was not in a class setting. Like I would get feedback when I was in class and doing exercises, but when I was doing auditions, I never really asked for feedback. And when I started doing this, you get so much valuable insight. Because one of the things that is frustrating a lot of the times is that you do an audition, but then you don't know why you didn't get it. And then you don't know if there's something you need to change and if there's something you need to improve. Depending on the project and who your contact person was, you can assess if it would be okay for you to ask for feedback or not. Or even if it's a project you already did, you can send a follow-up message and be like, hey, it was so lovely to work with you today. If you have any tips for me to make the next time even better, I would greatly appreciate that. I think the person from the other side would also appreciate you asking and wanting to improve. But I think also for auditions and castings and things like that, I personally don't do a lot of in-person castings. Since COVID, a lot of things have changed. Most castings are online. It kind of makes it difficult to get that personal connection, but I have had a few times where I did an in-person audition. One time I did it for a musical and then I didn't get the role, but so I sent them an email following up when they told me that I didn't get the role, and I said I would love to get your feedback to hear why you didn't cast me for this. And they gave me so many great tips where I was really able to take a look back, objectively separate my emotions from it. Don't take anything personally, by the way, and to just assess and be like, okay, this is what I did, this is how I can change it, this is how I can improve. But yeah, there's a lot of value in getting feedback. So on that little sentimental note, I'm gonna end the video. If you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. If there are any other habits that you think are super valuable for actors to have or for people in the entertainment industry in general to practice, please leave them in the comments down below. Would love to create a discussion in the comment section. If you want to see more videos from me, then don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!